Hello lovely students and welcome back to English with Lucy. Phrasal verbs are already really difficult, but there are some phrasal verbs that really confuse my students. Today I am going to teach you 12 commonly confused phrasal verbs and make sure you totally understand them so that you can use them confidently. Before we start, there's one very important thing that I must say. Many of the phrasal verbs that I am going to teach you today have multiple meanings. In this video, we will just discuss the meanings that students normally get confused about. We won't cover every meaning, as that would take too long. But if you are thinking, no, give me every meaning I need to understand, I have got you covered. I have something for you. I go into much more detail in the free PDF that goes with this lesson. You also get a quiz and a link to some secret exercises. To download that, click on the link in the description box or scan that QR code there. You enter your name and your email address, you sign up to my mailing list, and the PDF will arrive directly in your inbox. Our first pair is to end up versus to end in. My students often mix these up and struggle to know when to use each one. So let's do a little test. Use ended up or ended in to complete these sentences. It, disaster, and we, walking home. You should have it ended in disaster, and we ended up walking home. But why? Let's look at to end up first. This means to reach a final situation or place, often unexpectedly or unintentionally. Let's expand on our example a little. All of the buses were cancelled, so we ended up walking home. This is an example of an unexpected outcome. We didn't plan to walk. Here's another example. He studied engineering, but ended up in a completely different industry. End up tends to be followed by an ing verb, like walking, a phrase with a preposition, like in a completely different industry, or an adjective. Let's see an example with an adjective now. We got completely lost and ended up exhausted and frustrated by the whole thing. Now, to end in means to have something as a result. It's often used for negative situations or events and collocates strongly with words like disaster, divorce, failure, and tragedy. Here's an example. Her first marriage ended in divorce. End in doesn't always refer to something negative though. For example, the match ended in a draw. End in tends to be followed by a noun. So to recap, end up is about where you finish, literally or figuratively, often by accident, while end in is about how something concludes, often with a specific result. Now let's move on to our second pair. To look up versus to look for. Look up means to search for information using a specific source or tool, like a dictionary or a computer. For example, I often look up the meanings of new words in a dictionary. Or, I'm not sure what time the shop opens. I'll look it up on the website. Look up is a separable phrasal verb. This means the object can go immediately after up or between look and up. If the object is a pronoun, it has to go in the middle. Look it up. Look for means to search for somebody or something, often because you've lost or you need them or it. For example, can you help me look for my keys? Or if you see John, tell him I'm looking for him. Unlike look up, look for is not separable. It's inseparable. The object must come after the whole phrasal verb. So, to look up means to search for information in a specific place, and to look for means to search for something or someone you've lost or need. For pair number 3, we have 2 phrasal verbs with take. To take down versus to take off. Both can mean remove, but they're used differently. Let's do a little test again. Complete the gaps with down or off. We usually take our Christmas decorations in early January and take your shoes and socks before entering the temple. We take down the decorations and take off our shoes and socks. We'll look at to take down first. My students don't tend to use this phrasal verb, they just use take off instead. We use take down for things that are high up or things that are fixed, like decorations or wall art. Our Christmas decorations are often both. Another example, we took down all the curtains when we were painting the room. We usually use to take off to mean to completely remove clothes, shoes, or accessories. For example, I always take off my jewellery before going swimming. Now, let's take a look at some 3-part phrasal verbs. To catch up on and to catch up with. If you catch up on something, you either bring yourself up to date with something or you do an action that you didn't have time to do earlier. For example, I need to catch up on some work. Catch up on is followed by an object, which is a thing, not a person. However, we do say that you catch somebody up on something, and that means that you help bring someone else up to date on something. For example, can you catch me up on what happened while I was away? To catch up with means to reach the same level as a person who was ahead of you. For example, if you study hard, you'll catch up with the rest of the class. It also means to exchange news with someone you haven't spoken to for a while. For example, I love catching up with my old school friends. Catch up with is usually followed directly by a person. So, we use catch up on when we're behind and we want to get up to date. And we use to catch up with when we close a gap or reconnect socially. Pair number 5 is to bring up versus to grow up. Which of those verbs can you use to complete this sentence? I was in the countryside. Brought up or grown up? It should be brought up. Let's see why. To bring somebody up means to care for or raise a child until they're an adult. Often it involves teaching them how to behave and giving them certain values. It needs an object. For example, we wanted to bring up our children close to our extended family. This phrasal verb is often used in the passive form, to be brought up. Like in our example sentence earlier, I was brought up in the countryside, or she was brought up by her grandparents. To grow up means to gradually develop from being a child into an adult, maturing physically and emotionally. An example, I grew up in the UK. To grow up is intransitive, meaning it doesn't take an object. We don't say, my parents grew me up in a small village. Instead, we'd say, my parents brought me up, or I grew up. And we don't use it in the passive voice. So this sentence is wrong. I was grown up in a small village. Incorrect. The correct version would be, I was brought up or I grew up. So to recap, to bring up means to raise a child. To grow up means to change from being a child into an adult. Our final pair is actually one phrasal verb, but it can be followed by different grammatical patterns. These make the meaning so different that it might as well be two phrasal verbs. I hear my students make mistakes with this verb all the time, so I had to include it. The verbs are to go on to do and to go on doing. If we go on to do something, we do something after completing something else. We move to the next stage or action. For example, after finishing his first novel, he went on to write several more. This means he completed one and moved on to the next. If we go on doing something, we continue with the same action. For example, he went on talking even though no one was listening, meaning he continued talking. Okay, I understand phrasal verbs are really challenging, so let's cement some of what you've learnt with a short quiz. There are 4 questions, and I want you to let me know your score in the comments. Ready for number 1? Complete the sentence. I need to catch up. What's been happening in my favourite TV show? Is it on or with? It's on. Catch up on your favourite TV show. You want to get up to date with the latest events. Second question. Complete this sentence. My attempt to swim across the English Channel ended failure and I had to be rescued by a boat. Up or in? That one is in. It ended in failure. That shows the result of the attempt and it's followed by a noun, failure, which we often see after end in. Number 3. Is this sentence correct? James started as a receptionist and went on being the managing director. It is incorrect. We should say went on to be. He stopped being a receptionist and started something new when he became the managing director, probably after several other roles along the way. And our final question, number 4, complete the sentence. Please take all the photos and posters before you move out. Is it down or off? It should be take down. The photos and posters are most likely on the wall, so we need to take them down. How did you do? Let me know your score out of 4 in the comments. And I'm really interested to hear which of these phrasal verbs you find most confusing. Remember, these phrasal verbs have lots more meanings, and I go into much more detail about the meanings in the free PDF that goes with this lesson. The link for that is in the description box, or you can scan that QR code there. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson and that you learnt something. I will see you soon for the next one. Mwah!